Hello and welcome to this Q&A. I'm John Malpas. With me are Cruz Taboada and Stuart from Lexington Consultants. They're here to talk about one of the topics that will surface in a 3-day interactive masterclass that the Global Legal Post is running in March with Lexington Consultants. We're talking about technology and efficiency. And getting the systems right for law firms, which is obviously a crucial topic. So let's start with Stuart. What are the key ingredients for success in this area?
That's it's the $64,000 question. I think, people talk about efficiency, technology, innovation. To my mind, the key ingredients for success actually is knowledge. Knowledge of what your clients want and knowledge of how you, as a law firm, can deliver a service that satisfies that need. So once you've got a clear idea of what the need is, you can then look at how to deliver the solution most efficiently and how technology can assist with that delivery, and then how you can continue to improve, which is what I would understand innovation to mean.
Yeah, because innovation is used a lot as a word and people do love that word. Cruz, what would you say?
I like the concept of ingredients because sometimes it's true that that we forget what the key ingredients of things are, and I like to go to the basics. And to me, still, we have to focus on what is the two main ingredients, that is people and clients. So that's the first thing for a law firm. Now, of course, with people is the main asset. So we have to find the best way to make sure that we make the most of the people that we have. On the client side, we have to look as well for efficiencies, because if we don't manage to develop our business with clients, there's not sustainable law firms. So on that basis, we need then to consider how technology can help to achieve those aims. And obviously agreeing with what Stuart is saying, knowledge is one of the key elements, very much linked to people.
So every day you hear about a new startup, a new legal tech offering, which promises to do lots of exciting things. Stuart, how do you pick and choose which technology to use?
Yeah, and how do you avoid the shiny toy syndrome? I think, is it Legal Evolution recently released their Legal Tech State of Play report, and that noted that it was something in the region of $3.5 billion had been invested in the legal tech market 2018 to 20. Now, if you look at that absolute figures, law firms can't compete with that level of investment, nor should they really. We don't expect our doctor, when we go for a checkup, to develop their own medical diagnostic software. I think the trick here is for firms to have a process that allows them to identify what their pain point or their client's pain point is. Going back to the point about clients, again, it's all about the clients, and then look for appropriate solutions that are either available or to work with providers who can help them with that as honest brokers almost. If they've spotted a genuine gap in the market, it's then that they should be asking the questions about whether they build or buy or co-develop and with whom, etc. So it's to my mind, it's a lot about the process. But again, you need to start at the right point. It's not buying something that will then sit on your desk being very technological but not being used. Work out what your issue is and then what you need to do to service or satisfy or deal with whatever that problem may be.
Cruz, any other observations?
Yeah, I mean, I love that expression that Stuart has on honest brokers. And we've realized that happens a lot with many of the clients that we work with. And in the market, we can see that the challenge is just to make sure that when somebody is putting a product on your desk and they say, okay, that's going to save your life, is it really? Do you know what you want? Do you know exactly what it is that you need? So I think I would say 3 key things. First is just to adapt the technology to the moment of your journey. Different times of a law firm development, you need one type of support or other. So make sure that you adapt. Secondly is, what's the purpose? Why are you getting it? And what problem are you trying to solve? And in many cases, it tends to be a strategic question, not necessarily an IT question or people's question. So that, we understand very well because we see it very often. And finally, is if you decide on technology, is it flexible enough to respond to your next stage in the growth of a law firm? And that for sure is something that you need experience to understand which technology can offer that flexibility.
So value is a word that's used a lot, and everybody knows that you've got to try and increase your value, the value that you're providing your clients. Stuart, how do you define that word?
If there was an absolute definition, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd be on my Caribbean island sunning myself. But again, it goes back to it being a question of understanding what does value mean to a client, and then how can a law firm deliver this? And that's going to vary by client and by instance. So in some cases, value will be winning a bet the farm litigation, or it might be fending off a hostile takeover. In others, it'll be providing cost certainty in a low value, high volume workflow. So again, it's back to working with clients to understand this and to then own how best to keep improving on the delivery. So again, it's tying all of those elements, sort of continuous improvement, innovation, but it always comes back to what does value mean to your ultimate end user, and then working out what you can do. They're coming to you as a law firm for a solution. How do you satisfy? How do you identify that need, and then how do you satisfy it?
So we've talked about value, but law firms are busy. There's lots of day-to-day activity going on. How do you create the environment where you can really have another look at what you're doing and kind of reevaluate what you're doing?
It's interesting because law firms generally do quite well. So it's not to do with profit. So they need some, or they tend to have some triggers that make them reconsider what is that they're doing internally and why is it important. The question is that sometimes by the time that the trigger gets there, it might be a bit too late. But triggers that we've seen that make law firms to be quite desperate to have the structure required could be number one, when there is maybe an intention to incorporate an equity partner into the law firm equity. They do then require to be able to just have the information and data, which generally technology gives you and good structures give you, to assess and evaluate the value of the firm. Then when you want to promote lawyers, again, very much linked to performance, but to have good and modern systems is crucial. When there is a merge, so that is very important because you have to make sure that you have all your data in place, and again, to have all your knowledge ready and available. And what we can see quite often is that, for instance, international firms that are looking for mergers around the world, they look at firms that they are well structured, and they can see that it's not linked to individuals, but is knowledge that is kind of well managed by the firm, and that is a trigger that is quite often important for partners to decide to modernize internally.
Mary, Cruz, Stuart, thank you very much for taking part in this Q&A. This topic will be under much more discussion and debate at the interactive masterclass taking place next month, details of which you will find in the show notes. Thank you.